Hey there. Hi. What's going on? I hear that I'm live and I'm here that I'm on Twitch, although I should probably open some Twitch and look around and see what's happening. I also should move over here and say hi. Let me move that out of the way. I should say hi to everybody on Instagram because I hear that we're on Instagram and Facebook and a bunch of other places, and I just wanted to peek on and say, hey, this screen might be a little compressed for everybody on a mobile device, but if you join us on Twitch, I'm going to be playing with a few things that we do with veterans. Our handle on Twitch is We Lift and Shift, just like it is everywhere else except Instagram. Thanks. Yeah, that's my fault. But anyway, and we also have a time limit on Instagram. So while I'm talking to one audience specifically, we're going to disappear in about 3 minutes. So if you want to see more, you gotta hop off your phone and go to Twitch. But having said all that, I'm going to move back over to this side of the screen. Actually, I will do that number so people can kind of see me a little bit, at least for a few minutes here, while I'm talking. I'm going to open up Twitch and see what's going on, so I can see if there's anybody chatting. But for people who don't know me, haven't seen me, don't have any clue what's going on here, if there's anybody around, I'm the founder of the Lift and Shift Foundation, and my name's Tom. Hi, by the way. And I am here to kind of help out with a little bit of what we do. There's not a lot of people who see what we do, and there's even less people who see what happens behind the scenes and the good we do and the productive things that happen for veterans. So I'm going to close a window here for a minute, and now that we've passed the 2-minute mark, I'm going to slide my monitor back a little bit like that. I'm an engineer. I went to school for engineering after the Army, left the Army with post-traumatic stress disorder, and just decided I wanted to prove everybody wrong, that I didn't have a disability, and I went on to find a degree in engineering, work in research, start a nonprofit to help everybody like me understand that you can do these things. So some of the things that I love doing are teaching people that this stuff isn't hard. I like building other people's confidence. I like lifting other people. It's in the name, the Lift and Shift Foundation, to be able to lift people and give them a new purpose or redirect them to something more meaningful is behind the words lift and shift. And for me, since I have a couple minutes here, just describing where the title actually came from, in the Army, if you've ever been in combat, somebody has probably told you at one point in time to lift fire or shift fire. Those are fire direction commands, and anybody, whether you're an 11 Bravo in the Army Infantry or whether you're an 0311 in the Marine Infantry, at some point in time, someone has told you to lift fire or shift fire. And the idea was that we're directing fire, we're directing your passion, that fire, and we're directing it to a new purpose. You see that tagline on our website frequently, and that's where it came from. That's where the name of our foundation came from. That's behind the work we do. We really like to lift people and help people and do what we can, because what I did and what I do as an engineer is not hard. It just took a bit of sticking with it and building up to things. But that's about it. I didn't want to spend more than a few minutes to introduce myself. That was much more time than I thought I would take. Honestly, I'm going to cut myself off of Instagram now, because I think we have a limit. So bye, Instagram, if you're still there. Come find us on Twitch. Hey, so now it's just us. Some alone time. I just closed one window out of the 19. I wanted to run through some of the things that we do. I found that over the last year or so, it was very important to reach out to veterans where they live, and to come up with ways to host workshops and build their confidence and build everybody's confidence um, through the internet. So one thing that I found is very fascinating for everyone is 3D printing. Not everybody understands it. It's kind of like one of those buzzwords in the industry, but people think you can, do a lot of manufacturing straight out off the bat. There's a lot of mystery behind it, a lot of, fascination to it. So I took to these workshops where we could design things, and one of my favorite places to do this is actually on a website called Tinkercad. I'm going to pop it up right now. Look at that. So there's my Tinkercad account. And I'm going to disappear my face. This ugly mug right here is going to disappear, and we're going to go to that for a little bit. And I just want to say that tonight is the first night that we're doing this steam engine type design hosting online in general, streaming it for the public, but what I'm going to do over the next 20 minutes is the very basic introduction that I give to veterans to kind of show them, here's how you can do things in Twitch. And I mentioned this idea that there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes, and there's this entire design team. There's this very small group of veterans who want to build things and want to further the idea that is behind this foundation, to lift other veterans, to give them tools, to give them confidence, to give them an understanding and give back. And the reason this face is going to disappear is because there's this handful of people on this design team, and it's much more important for me to prop them up and to say thank you to them, and give them the credit, the spotlight, the experience, the confidence that comes along with being right here on your screen and doing the things that I'm doing right now. I learned as a non-commissioned officer that you gain confidence when you understand the material in front of you enough that you can teach it to another person, and it's just something that's always stuck with me, no matter where I've gone, even into school, to being able to sit down and get up on the board and show how I got to a problem. Or a solution from a problem. Once you can explain that to another person, you have grasped a certain mastery of that concept. So there's some legitimacy to the idea that I don't necessarily want or need to be the host of things like this, and I don't know where everybody else in the team is, but there will be other people here around, and I can't see anything. I'm not great with the whole Twitch thing. Yet, but I've had a little bit of help. So I just want to mention this. The plan so far is I'm here. I'm going to first I'm going to shrink these windows because I'm getting distracted. But I'm going to share files and share my designs here in the chat. And if you want to take those STL files, it'll go into my AutoCAD, my Tinkercad workspace, and take those files for your own, mess with them, monkey with them, build on them, whatever the case may be. That is awesome. I'm kind of setting up the scenario where everybody who follows me can do the same thing, but at the same time, if you see how this changes things for other veterans, there's a link in our hi. I see stuff not in the chat, but people saying hi. If you see these models and you want them 3D printed, we normally print them out for veterans when they come to these workshops with us. You can donate, and I will make sure that we get you a printed copy of whatever the model was. And that's just one way I'm helping the public support what we do for veterans, and one way to provide just a little bit more purpose for the guys and girls and everybody involved as this kind of goes. So just keep that in mind. We set up a donation link in a panel in our Twitch page, I think, and as long as you make a donation of a certain amount and provide your address, the same models that we assemble, we will print and mail you as a gift for your donation. I don't want to spend a lot of time on taxes and accountants and promises or anything like that. Talk to an accountant if you have questions. I'm not one. I'm an engineer, and it doesn't necessarily mean I'm good at math. It just means I had to do a lot of it. But at this point in time, I really just want to stop because I don't ever get to be an engineer. Being a founder of a nonprofit, I spend a lot of time with lawyers, accountants, and all kinds of other stuff. So this is one of the few nights every week where I get to stop being the business person and I get to play with stuff. So I'm gonna like I mentioned, disappear my face, this thing right here, and we're gonna go to that up there for the time being, and probably for another 15-20 minutes. I don't have a fancy setup yet. I'm understanding that we can set up scenes and things in the software I'm using, and there's an external platform if you're not using Twitch. We'll get to that eventually, but this is our first day, and I didn't want to overwhelm myself as much as I didn't want to overwhelm anybody else with any extraneous information. So we're just going to keep it simple today, and I'm going to pop into Twitch, and I'm going to do that easily by just growing my crazy window, and let's see if I can drag this up a bit. I just want it to fit. Dun dun dun. Okay, let's go with that. In fact, I'm gonna do something clever. Well, it turned out it wasn't so clever. And resize my window just a bit so we're not distracted by any of the mumbo jumbo. Cool. I think that is it. Yep, there we go. Okay, so now the awkward portion. Let's see. The awkward portion's over. And my phone is ringing and people are trying to call me. I appreciate all the attention from anybody who maybe not on Twitch, but we're gonna ignore all of it for now. So I mentioned this is Tinkercad. This is where I go when I want to make things and do things, and you can see my screen here. I'm not going to get into a tutorial behind Tinkercad and how it works. That's usually a lot of what I do. There's a tremendous amount of resources in Tinkercad. You can design 3D objects. You can design circuits. You can put together blocks of code with objects. You can take lessons in classes. There's a lot of really cool features in here. But excuse me, we use this for a lot of design, both working with veterans in workshops and outside on our own, out in our design team behind the scenes. There are things like here we're building this robot was our first prototype of a brain for a robot we're designing. This is a keychain, and I'm going to right-click on that and make it go away somewhere else for the time being. But yeah, so that is a keychain that you can see there. This is a design by one of our design team members. It won one of our contests in 2020. It is a dice tower, and I have the feeling this may make it into some of these sessions as we turn this into a printable gift for people, but it started out as that little tan object on the right, the little castle, and it through one iteration developed into a much larger castle. We have some ideas on how to make it better, so that may be something we launch into on a Thursday night for one of these design sessions, and that should be fun. Also in here we had a contest recently with some lapel pins, asking people to design their own lapel pins. This was our design team who actually took to Tinkercad and came up with their ideas for their lapel pins. which I was absolutely amazingly thrilled with. But here we're going to start with a very, very simple design. I'm going to create a new design, and I'm just going to go to Tinkercad, and here's my one tip of the night. I said I'm not going to get too much into Tinkercad and how it works, but I found recently that here's the toolbox that slides back and forth. And what I found is I like the toolbox open, but it's too big the way it is. So I can shrink it down by going to my menu and zooming out in Tinkercad. So now my menu is not as big and it's not as bulky and it's not in my face taking up half my screen. So I'm going to do that. For this session, I'm just going to shrink my screen, zoom out of my view here so I can see my workspace and see my toolbox and actually do some things. So we're going to design that keychain. You saw that star-looking object. We're basically going to design that keychain, and if anybody tonight wants to donate to the cause, we will print these keychains and ship them to you. But like I said, this is much more about giving things away while we're doing it. So I need to find us on Twitch and open that window and find our little chat. Give me a second while I look for our chat. I am terrible at this. Hi. Oh, hey, there's our team. I found our chat window. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this workspace while I'm designing for everybody out here. This is one of the very, very cool features. I'm going to copy a link, and I'm going to drop it in at the start here, and we'll see how that goes. So that's our chat sharing. If you can get to that link, you can take my design when I'm all done. It's good for 336 hours, basically 2 weeks, until that link expires. And that is for saying thank you to viewers, saying thank you to anybody who's paying attention. If you want to take my model for yourself, you can do that. You can use the cut and paste options and open up your own Tinkercad workspace and take my model when we're done. I'm telling you that's okay. That's why I shared it. And without any other further holdups or anything else, I'm gonna sadly I can't see the chat window. Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm trying to rearrange my window so I can see chat windows and screens and things. But there we go. So we're going to start by making this keychain. And it's basically all basic shapes. So we're not going to use anything crazy, anything fancy out of anywhere else. And I'm going to start with a cylinder. And I'm going to make the cylinder flat. So I'm going to click up here. I'm going to change it in the numbers by 3 millimeters. And here's the cool part, because I zoomed out on my window, I can zoom in very close. I'm just going to center on my object so I can see it. I'm going to crank the sides up so that it's all fancy and smooth. And this is 20 millimeters by 20 millimeters. I'm not a big fan of that. It feels kind of small. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to 30. And I'm going to change this to 30. And I'm kind of doing this freehand off the top of my head. And I promise we're going to end up with the same model. I'm going to slide it over again. Actually, I'm going to do that number right there. Now, I want to make, I don't like the sharp edges because it just doesn't feel right to me. It looks like a coin instead of, something that hangs on your keychain. So let's talk about some design. We can get rid of the sharp edges by putting this donut around it. Yep. Okay. It's not a donut. It's called a torus. That's the technical shape right there. Is the name for it is a torus, but I call it a donut because, like Homer Simpson, that's much of what I think about. I'm going to get this out a little bigger, like that. And I'm going to drop this down to, let's say 2.75. Let's try 3. I'm going to drop it in there. What I'm looking for is this lip right there. See that little edge? It's almost like a piece of molding that fits around this. So it gives us this disc, this round disc, this soft disc. But it gives us a flat surface. So now we've got this like pocket watch shape. And I'm gonna call it a pocket watch as we get to the further along. I'm going to unfold my shape characteristics. I want to crank up the sides so it's a little smoother, and you can see that right there. It got a little smoother in the steps. I'm going to back up because today I'm not all about design and telling you how to use these features up here, like aligning things and grouping things. I'm going to go through this a little bit faster. I'm going to grab all my objects, and instead of grouping them, I want to align them like that. So this is kind of like the speed course for more experienced people in Tinkercad. So now I've got this disc, or this soft donut with a flat surface that I can work on. And my pocket watch is pretty complete. I could put it together and say I'm done, but I'm not happy with that yet. That still doesn't look like a very cool keychain. So I'm going to add this tube. And now I'm going to focus on the tube. So the tube is going to be the loop. We're going to make this a loop like that. We're going to add this. We're going to combine all of these to make it a loop. And the tube as a basic shape doesn't really work out so well. So I'm going to change, because I already know this ahead of time, to about 6 millimeters. I used a caliper and measured some of my key rings around and came up with a good number of 6 millimeters for this tube. I'm going to shrink the tube height down to 3 millimeters because everything I'm doing today is about 3 millimeters tall. And I'm going to add just like that. So check it out. Now all of a sudden it's starting to look like a keychain. I'm going to start coloring these different colors so we can tell when parts are joined. That's just something I like to do. I get confused when I go to look at parts and they don't look different colors. I forget that they're not the same object. So here it is. And now I can align myself back to a standard view and see that this isn't lined up at all. I'm not happy with that. So I'm going to align all of these in the center. There we go. I'm going to make sure there's some overlap right here on my keychain. So I'm going to actually go back and make this overlap first. Then I'm going to take this home view, zoom in so I can see everything. Then I can get a good view of the alignment. Just like that. Cool. So everything's lined up. That is my shape. That is my pocket watch type object. I could combine all this now and make it one object. And there we go. I've got this cool kind of basic shape for a keychain. Doesn't look like anything like that little star I showed earlier. And to be quite honest, it's extra boring. I'm very big on creativity and design. I feel like this could have improvements. And this is where things vary for us. I encourage veterans to personalize these if they come back for sessions and they figure out how to use this platform. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it apart now, and I'm going to give some examples of how they can personalize it. Some of the examples that I give them are to add their initials, which they can do by creating these holes like that. I could add initials if my name were Bruticus Cuticus. I don't know, just spitballing here. That could be my keychain. I'm not cool with that. I'm going to undo those. That's not my name. I could go back to basic shapes. I can scribble, so I can scribble in my name. My name is actually Tom. So I can do that. And I can click on done, and there we go. There's my handwritten name ready to go. There's a lot of different things I can do here with this keychain. And I'm going to center it, drop my shape out of the way. This is where I would maybe not make it 10, maybe make it 4, so it's raised. And then I could center it on these objects like this way, so it's centered on the keychain. But I draw chicken scratch, so we're gonna back out of that too. Undo, undo, undo. I'm gonna make this fun. I'm gonna make this a hole. So what we're going to do is drop this. Actually, I'm going to drop it over here because I don't want to get confused yet. I want to cut out the middle. I want to have a flat surface, but I want to cut out the middle. So I'm going to do this number. We're going to go with 27. This doesn't really matter. I'm just being arbitrary here. I've done 26. I've done 27 when I've done this design with veterans. The point is that I want to make it smooth. I'm actually going to shrink it down. I'm going to do 26 this time because I like having this molding type feature. I'm going to push that up. I'm just going to make this doesn't matter so much because I'm just going to cut a hole in the middle of my object. So I'm going to line this up just like that, and I'm going to keep this ring separate for a while. I'm going to combine these like that. So now I've got this flat surface with this ridge and this ring and this emptiness in the middle that I can customize. And I'm going to keep my keychain loop off until I'm done. I'm going to add my keychain loop at the end so I can align things to center, left, right, blah, 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 all that other stuff. So it's there. I'm ignoring it for a bit because I'm going to create that star. I'm going to make that star that goes in the middle, and here's how we're going to do it. Well, we have to fill in the space. This entire keychain will be flat on the bottom so that we can 3D print it. So I'm going to add the star here, and that's a bit big. Just like everything else I've done today, I'm going to drop this down to 3 millimeters. And I see that it needs to be rotated 90 degrees. There's 1 point up here, 1 point here, 1 point here, 2 points on this side. So I need to rotate this 90 degrees. So I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees like that so that I can line it up better. Very cool. Now it will match up and down, left, right. I'm going to take a guess here and going to go with 27 millimeters as a size. And I'm going to try to drop it in the middle of my keychain like that. Now here's the fun part. This isn't going to line up perfect up and down, left and right, I don't think. I've done this in the past and had issues with it. Yes, and I'm going to show you exactly why. So this is centered, and you can see, if you look very, very close, let me scroll over, the tip of the star on these bottom points is showing outside my little fancy recessed molding type shape. On this end, it's because the way the star is laid out in 5 points, center is here, doesn't necessarily mean that all the points have the same distance from the center as far as the X and Y axis is concerned. So I need to move this up just a tiny bit so it's not centered, and now it blends together. But because if you remember, I made this 3 millimeters, I made all these parts 3 millimeters. Now I have this star that's 3 millimeters. So this star is now in the middle of, or aligned enough so that it won't have any jagged edges sticking out of my little ring. That's really what I want. That's the goal here. That's the key. I could probably move it up one more. Oh, nope, I can see it. It's starting to show up there. Right there. I can snap my grid. Snap my grid down a little bit more so I can move this with a finer precision. In fact, I may do that, but what I really want to do is, I'm still not done with this. I'm still not done with this star. It's very boring to me. It's just, there's not enough texture to it. So I'm going to add some texture to the shape. Here we go. Ready? This is the kind of pyramid star. It's got the same shape. It's just not I don't even know what to call that shape. It's a different textured star. That's all. So I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. Just like that, just like I rotated this one. I'm going to lift it up. In fact, I'm going to lift it up 2.95 millimeters because I want it to join and group with this yellow star. I'm also going to shrink this down. It doesn't need to be 10 millimeters tall. It'll jab you in the pocket. It will make you uncomfortable and probably not very happy. So what I can do is I can make it 2 millimeters so that it just has this slight bevel to the star. It adds some texture without creating this jagged surface. And next step, just to match sizes, we're going to go with 27 millimeters all around. So check it out. If I put this right on top like that, you can now see I have this cool star with a little bit of texture. But all these are not grouped together. They're not stars. I need to line them up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab both of those parts, quickly do some they're aligned this way, but not that way. Very, very cool. Okay, now I'm going to join those so they're one part. So now you can see on my 3D model, there's a star with a raised point in the middle, kind of like your Christmas tree star, maybe. Now, because I aligned them, I may have moved them both to the center of something. I need to go back and do some alignment here. I'm going to align them that way. They're aligned left, right, or X, Y now, both in the center. But I will still have this little lip sticking out right here, so I'm going to slide this up a bit. Check that out. That looks centered around the ring to me. Cool. Now, I'm going to join these two shapes into my orange shape. Now, I have this star. I could probably lift that up a little bit. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Just like that. What I want to do is get that very close to the top right there. Yeah, there we go, there we go. Cool. Now I'm going to line it up. Now I'm going to group it. Very cool. So now I've got all these cool textures and crevices and points and things that aren't sharp. They can go in your pocket. They won't jab you. They won't monkey with your keys. They won't do crazy things. And it's not as boring as, remember when we started, we had that cylinder. That was what we started with, was the cylinder. And this takes, maybe an hour or so when I do this with veterans, when I open up workshops and say, hey, look, let's learn how to learn how to model things. And this is the part in the conclusion where I would go into detail that we've customized this. If you join me, I can tell you how to do more in further workshops. We can do more with this platform. We can learn how to build circuits and things. But now I'm going to add my loop. And, oh, it is centered. So I can add my loop. And there we go. Now I have a keychain. And that is it right there. That's the completion of my model. This is the standard keychain that I use to give out to veterans who attend, who want to learn how to do all these things like aligning, like creating holes and grouping objects and joining, different shapes and things. That was an abridged half-hour version of what I try to give veterans as an experience, and then the process goes on to I spend a day printing all of these keychains and sending them out to veterans and invite them to come back, where they can learn to do a little bit more. They can customize their a keychain with initials for their children, their wife, their mom, whoever is important to them. They have added little hearts and stars and dates when you join the military, or dates of somebody who did not come home with the rest of us. That there's a lot of different things that I've seen in these workshops, and I'm going to come back to chat for a minute. Hi. So I'm just taking a quick break here to chat for a minute to explain that behind the scenes, a lot of what I see is veterans do want to make something personal. They want to make something customized. They want to say, I appreciate my family for getting me through my deployments. I appreciate my teammates for being there on days, when things went south, and it happens to everyone. So I'm learning through hosting these workshops and hosting all of these veterans just how united we are and how similar a lot of our experiences are, and it makes it even more gratifying and also overwhelming for me as a veteran who has experienced some of the same things. But it really brings about a new angle to giving back to these veterans and being able to say, hey, here's how you can make your own stuff. And I spend a little bit of time showing everyone how the 3D printing process works. The printer I have is an Ender, and it sits here in my apartment because I'm quarantined in New York in a shoebox, and we've been here for a year. But the end result, the product of this is very grateful on my part, and very, very lucky to be here to be able to do this with and for other veterans. And I led this off by explaining that my goal here is not to prop myself up, but to lead the way and let everybody who's here on this design team here, who's pitching in to do these things with us, give them the opportunity to experience that same feeling of gratitude, because it's a good thing to be able to not just help yourself up, but to bring everybody with you. And that's where I'm going to leave it, and say that I've shared this very quickly, ran through this very first initial keychain, just a model. If anybody can catch this chat afterward, I don't know if you can, if that's available on Twitch or not, but if you are curious, the model is there. I won't close it. I'll shut it down after a week or so and start something else. But that is my basic design. The textured star is what I'm going to call it. And in the future, we'll be doing more of this. If anybody is around and saw it and wants to donate, that is what I'll be printing and mailing to you. In fact, I have bags and bags of keychains right here, and what people have not seen is, here is just a screenshot. Maybe I can do this. Hold on. I'm going to share my browser again, because I have some images. So here's our finished design, which will be up for a little bit. And I just realized our logo is hidden for all of that. That's cool. We'll be sharing a little more of that from our brand style guide, which is coming out as soon as I have time to build some web pages. But here's our standard keychain for some of our very introductory workshops. Here is the finished product, from one of our last workshops. I printed all of these for a lot of other veterans, and this was one batch being printed. I think that was my initial batch. I had to adjust my bed and do some other things, but that was my first batch of 10 that came out. I ran through several batches. That's about it. I think at this point, I can close that. And yeah, I didn't expect too many people hanging around viewing over this time period, especially because there's just not a lot of people on or following us. But if you want to get involved, if you want to reach out or do things, the best thing you can do is sign up on our website, weliftandshift.org. It should be in our Twitch page. Is that a page? Is it a shelf? I've seen so many other words for it. But yeah, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, here. And if you are not on Twitch, we even have an off-site web platform. Streamlabs Charity hosts this on their page for potential donors. But that's it. I've been here for about 45 minutes, and hopefully I didn't ramble on too much. And I'm done. How about that? I'm gonna get some dinner. Thank you.